Are you kidding me? Just when I thought I was going to make a video in the next coming days about how healthy the New York Giants are, even though we're in full pads sometimes and we're doing full contact drills and, full scrimmages, full contact scrimmages, how healthy we are. And to my surprise, I should always expect the unexpected when it comes to this team. And here's our first injury, our first major injuries to the team, and it happens one after the other. Breaking news, according to Mike Garafolo. Garafolo has been giving us nothing but bad news this past offseason, and Garafolo comes out and says that David Mayo has torn his meniscus, and I believe the meniscus is exactly what Victor Cruz tore as well. So that's not good, all right? That's not good. Victor Cruz never came back from that injury. Never really came back from that injury. And David Mayo is supposed to be a huge part of the defense. And of course, probably the biggest blow to the defense, our second round pick, Xavier McKinney, fractures his foot. He's expected to be out about 2 to 3 months. So as far as the IR goes, I don't want to put Xavier McKinney on IR. Now, I know Xavier McKinney and David Mayo are both getting surgery. David Mayo is probably out for the season. He is out for the season. He has a torn meniscus. He's done. All right, he's gone. And we'll get into the replacements after this. But I don't want Xavier McKinney to be on IR. I sound crazy. I do sound crazy, okay? He fractured his foot. He didn't completely break it. He's getting surgery. All right. I know he has to have that recovery period, but I don't want to have to see him come back week 10 and him play about 6 or 7 weeks in the season. If he could come back week 7, week 8 and be okay and be on a limited type of role, right? If he could be limited from week 7 to week 10 and then come back fully in week 10, I would love that. I want to see as much of Xavier McKinney as I can. Not only that, I want him to develop, so it's not really much of the selfish aspect as a fan. I want to see Xavier McKinney develop into a safety and have a good rookie season and try to get off to a great start for next year, when I think the Giants are really going to start taking things seriously and try to compete. I want Xavier McKinney to already have a head start on developing along with these other rookies and these other young guys. I want him to play. I want him to play soon. Now, fractured foot is nothing to joke around with, especially the safety position. Especially any position having a fractured foot. We still have 3 weeks for the season to start, so that's 3 weeks of him to be able to recover from there, and then we'll just wait to see how long it takes after that. If we put him on IR, that's him basically recovering for like 13 weeks right there. Because he would be designated to come back in week 10, so that's 13 weeks of recovery. I think if we take him off IR, I think 2 to 3 months, I think it will be fine for him to come back sooner than that. So I don't know, guys. Maybe I'm just going crazy here. Maybe I'm going crazy here, but I feel like we shouldn't put him on IR. That's just me. We have I believe it's a 55-man roster now. Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe it's a 55-man roster instead of a 53-man roster. So that leaves us 2 extra spots for players, and I would just give that to Xavier McKinney. I know we have a lot of depth at a lot of positions, but I would just give that to Xavier McKinney and wait for him to come back. Maybe I'm crazy. I don't know. Maybe that's a bad take. I don't know. I just want to see Xavier McKinney on the field. So let's get into some potential replacements for these 2 players. And David Mayo is a huge blow to the defense. He was slated to be our starting inside linebacker. I would have still gave the job to Ryan Connolly, but everybody else wants to say David Mayo. Fine. David Mayo was supposed to be our starting inside linebacker. He's a big thumper, stopping the run. He's that type of player, hard-nosed type player. And we're going to have to find a replacement for him. So right off the bat, you have to think about Devontae Downs and Ryan Connolly. Devontae Downs has performed well in training camp up to this point. A lot of people are very enthusiastic about him. People that are watching him practice are actually very confident in Devontae Downs, and nobody really thought he would be in a position to start at inside linebacker, so it's good that he's making most of his opportunity now. And then you go on to Ryan Connolly, who of course is our 5th round draft pick out of Wisconsin, who had a phenomenal first 3 weeks of his rookie season. playing inside linebacker, and had about 2 interceptions as well, and was very underrated in coverage and did well stopping the run as well. But unfortunately, that had to be cut short because he had to be put on IR himself with an injury. And the only thing that scares me is that Devontae Downs and Ryan Connolly have both missed practices in training camp so far, so that's not good. That shows you that they're a little worn, they're a little fatigued, they may be a little hurt or banged up. That's not good. So right off the bat, our inside linebacking core is already thin without David Mayo there, and Devontae Downs and Ryan Connolly missing out in practices. And then you move on to the next guys. We drafted 3 inside linebackers last year, but unfortunately they're using Cam Brown as an edge rusher. So I don't know if he's going to be put at inside linebacker to try out, just because the thin, we're very scarce at that position now. But as far as I know, TJ Brunson and Tay Crowder are the next inside linebackers up. TJ Brunson's an interesting guy. He's a thumper as well. That's what I put on my notes when I scouted him, just thumper. He's a guy that loves to stop the run and hits very hard. But I really like Tay Crowder. I think Tay Crowder is a very interesting prospect. The only film you can find on Tay Crowder, I believe, is against Notre Dame. The only film you can find on YouTube, rather. And he played extremely well. This is a former running back out of Georgia, and that he had to switch to linebacker because Georgia has phenomenal running backs. I don't even need to get into the names there, but he wasn't able to compete. He wasn't able to get any looks at running back, so we had to switch to linebacker, and was I believe, runner-up for the Dick Buttkiss Award. So I don't know, something like that, but. He played phenomenally well at linebacker, and he played a second-round pick in that film I watched on him. But I'm not saying he's gonna be a second-round pick. I'm just saying that he has some potential. He has a little X factor to him. I like Tay Crowder. He was Mr. Irrelevant this year, so let's hope Mr. Irrelevant makes the 53-man roster, 55-man roster, whatever it is. But there's some guys you could throw out there to potentially replace David Mayo. There's a couple of guys. I know it's a little thin because of the injuries, but I believe we could fill in that role just fine. I believe we'll be okay at the inside linebacker position. Next, we move on to the safeties. Now, Xavier McKinney is going to be a huge blow. I mean, he was performing so well in training camp. He was coming along so well. He had an interception. He was covering the tight ends very well. I know he was getting beat sometimes. People were this film out there being beat by Evan Ingram, but it's Evan Ingram, for crying out loud. He's a mismatch. So originally what the Giants wanted to do, was have those 3 safety looks out there that you can rotate around and kind of throw around there. Jabril Peppers being the Swiss Army knife that he's known to be coming out of Michigan, right? Xavier McKinney is another guy who's like a Swiss Army knife, and Julian Love is learning to be a Swiss Army knife, playing in the outside, the slot, and also from the safety position. These were 3 guys you could throw pretty much anywhere. The fluidity that this defense was able to have with those 3 players was going to be fun to watch, and very interesting to see how Patrick Graham was going to use these players. But now that just pretty much gets thrown out the window, and Julian Love and Jabril Peppers are going to be the guys at safety. So that pretty much takes away that aspect. So it's a very tough blow for the New York Giants losing Xavier McKinney. This is the best safety prospect in the draft last year, who fell to us in the second round. So with Julian Love being there at safety now, I think he deserves it. I think he's had a really good camp so far. He's been one of the better defensive backs in camp, along with guys like Xavier McKinney himself and Darnay Holmes. These young guys are really, really showing out there. You're not really hearing too much of Jabril Peppers. You're not really hearing too much of James Bradbury. You're hearing a lot of these young guys making plays. So I don't know if that's media bias. I don't know what it is, but that's what you're seeing in all the articles. That's what you're seeing on the highlight films and things like that. So Julian Love, I think, is going to fit into that role very nicely. He already has a sort of chemistry with Jabril Peppers. I will keep you guys updated if there's anything else. If they're for sure going to be put on IR. I don't know if they're put on IR yet, but we will see. I'm not seeing anything that they are for sure going to be put on IR. I hope McKinney is not on IR, but maybe you guys can convince me that he should be put on IR. I don't know, but I don't think he should be. So that being said, guys, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Leave a like if you guys enjoyed. Subscribe if you guys are new, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Woo!